Hello.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Game Time here on the Game Time Sports Channel. Had to throw in Cam Newton. Cam Newton, the talk of the NFL this week with his proclamation that he wouldn't come play for the Jets unless they paid him $5 million. Fool, ain't nobody paying you $5 million to walk their dog, let alone quarterback an NFL team. But anyway, we're going to get into so many things here in the NFL that have went on in week 6. Lot to talk about. Everybody has a loss on them, Winston. Your Cowboys bouncing back against the Chargers. Some surprising results, as I just mentioned, but also some standard results for some teams that are getting their seasons back in order as well. We're going to get into college football, a little bit of MLB's talk as well. And if there's time, we'll give a prediction for the WNBA Game 4 that's happening tomorrow night between the Aces and the Liberty. So a lot to cover, but I'm the Outlaw John Rocha. That right there is Winston A. Marshall, the king of swag. Winston, how are you doing? How are you feeling this morning after going to the game last night and watching the Cowboys beat the Chargers?
God, dude, there are just so many things. It's one of those things that you're like thinking in your mind. You're like, oh shit, you know what I really want to do? Like, I'm really trying to go. The Cowboys are in town, man. That rarely happens because, like, you know what I mean? Like, Chargers games are a little cheaper because they the Chargers. And,
sure.
You know,
like the Clippers of LA. Yeah, that's
you know what I mean? And, like, so there's that. And you know, so there's a possibility of maybe the Rams every now and again, because if you end up in the same place in your division, you guys end up playing each other. And the Rams are playing the Cowboys, but in Dallas. So I was just all right, so this is my one opportunity to go. Yeah. Last 2 games I went to, great time. Went with my girlfriend, Kristen, to the Cowboys-Chargers game. Ironically, the score was essentially the same, 19-17 victory on that one, man, which is kind of wild. So I guess, you know, we're just rewriting history here. Great time there. Went to a Seahawks-Chargers game. Seahawks beat the brakes off the Chargers. That shit was hilarious. I had a great time. We pre-gamed and shit. I did an SVU about where the Chargers fans at because they don't exist. Like, it's all these things, right? So this game comes up. First of all, I had the bright idea because I had to go pick up my antidepressants on Sunday. I'm open about that shit. I don't give a fuck.
Okay,
whatever.
fair enough.
I'm going to pick my shit up on Sunday. I asked the pharmacist, I see you guys got flu shots and the COVID booster. Like, how do you schedule that? She goes, we have nobody here. Do you want it right now? I said, oh, shit, yeah, why not? I'm putting 2 and 2 together. My ass might be a little fucked up over this.
You did this on Sunday or what day?
Sunday afternoon.
Before the game?
I didn't know any better.
Oh my God.
I didn't use my big boy brain, John. I used my young man
brain.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just like, oh yeah, hell yeah, let's go. So I get the thing. I'm doing fine all of last night or Sunday night. I wake up Monday morning. I feel like somebody has beat me with the baseball bats the Rangers beat with the Astros these last 2 games. I'm out here just like, oh, Lord Jesus. My arm hurt like a motherfucker. I told her to put them both in one arm because I sleep on my left side so I don't snore. Right. So, like, I'm out here, whole arm just inflamed. I have 0 energy. I was supposed to get out of bed at 7 a.m., drive to my mama's house to help her with some shit. And I'm like, nope, I ain't got it. I ain't motherfucking got it. So I ended up staying in bed until about like noon. Then I called my mom's and I said, all right, I'm on my way over because she lives next to the stadium. So the whole point was I was going to help her all day, park my car at her place, walk to the stadium. So I don't get to her until like 1:30, 2 o'clock, John. Like it's late. It's way later than I was supposed to be over there. Worked out for her. She had other shit to do, but it was not great.
Right.
I'm sitting here. My mama does the same thing every old mama does, talking about, I don't know how to work the email. I don't know how to. I'm like, God damn it, this is awful. So I'm dealing with it. Now I'm going with a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Who, because Kristen couldn't make it. She had a work conference.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going with a friend of mine who she's a big Packer fan. But she was like, I like going to football games. Like, it's no big deal. Like, whatever. She goes, I get off work at 3:30. I'll leave like 3:45, get to your mama's house about 4:30, something like that. We'll walk over the game. And I'm like, cool. Why the fuck I get a motherfucking text message at like 4:45 being like, man, shit wild. I'm on my way. I'm like, you know, I'm like 30 some minutes away. I'm like, what the fuck? So I was like, all right, I'm gonna transfer you your ticket and I'll see you in there. She goes, you're not gonna have me walking around in Inglewood by myself and shit. I'm like, the sun's out.
It's daytime.
The forum's there. There's cops everywhere.
Everyone's fine in the day.
Really? But I'm like, I just get quiet because I'm already tired. I'm a little pissed off now because now I'm watching the pregame roll down. I see the fucking national anthem on TV. This woman is terrible. She hits the last couple notes. I'm like, good for you. But the rest of the shit, I'm like, are you trying to bring Fergie back in everybody's good graces after what she did at the NBA All-Star game all those years ago? What the fuck is happening right now? So I'm freaking out because I can hear the crowd from my mom's house. Like, not the TV. I hear the roar from my mama's house.
Wow.
Right there. And I'm like, I just got to sit here. And so finally, she's like, all right, I'm at the security gate outside the and I'm like livid at this point because at this point you've already had the 7-7 score go up.
Shut up. So you weren't even in the stadium for the touchdowns because you were waiting for this Green Bay Packer fan to show up super late.
And so then, if you know me enough, if I'm like mad, I'm mad.
Yeah,
but I went for that disappointed black father, just like I ain't saying shit to you. So the whole walk over there, like she comes, she gets there. I come out of the house. I have a Celsius can that I put a vodka orange juice in because I killed the Celsius. She goes, "What? You're not gonna bring me a Celsius?" I was like, "Nah, nigga, you 30 minutes late." Like I'm just not in the mood. So like the whole time I'm just real quiet. I got my walking boot on, bro, because like that's the thing. I'm pretty good at this point.
Yeah.
But long distances, big crowds, all of that, I have to keep it on just to be safe because,
of course,
mind you, 2 different people stepped on my shit while I was at the stadium. So that's its own thing. Wow. So I'm glad I had that on. And now here's the motherfucking kicker. So first of all, I don't get into the stadium to our seats until there's like 7 minutes and 30 seconds left in the second quarter. I missed the whole first quarter and a half.
Wow.
I'm pissed.
I would.
And then we get to the seats, bro.
Yeah.
And 2 rows in front of us, these 2 white people, they're Cowboys fans. So on the one hand, I want to be happy about it, but these motherfuckers want to stand the whole fucking game blocking everybody. One dude to wear,
This ain't down.
Exactly.
Standing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, now, mind you.
Yeah.
Ain't no Chargers fans, bro. Like it was better this game than it was when we did this 2 years ago, right?
Right.
But it really was a 50-50 split of like that game. It was like 80% Cowboys fans, 20% Chargers. This was about a 50-50 split. So you really had the crowd roaring every time anything happened for anybody.
I think this was the only one who was there. I think she was the only Chargers fan that was
so
there.
I heard about this. I've never wait. What was the few minutes later? I had heard about this because I guess Pat McAfee got crazy Charger lady on the show.
Yeah, she did. Like, look at this. That is her cheering the game.
Okay.
And then
because obviously I didn't see this. I was they didn't have her on the Jumbotron. That was purely ESPN's cameras.
And then a few moments later, how did we lose this? So there you go. Yeah, she does enough for half a stadium, I think, for sure.
Bro. So like when you throw all of that together, man, did I enjoy myself? Did us winning yes, thank God we won. I needed that, especially after that day, after being so fucking tired.
Yeah.
After being so annoyed by like lateness and literally these people in front of us. It was this dude and this girl. They're both wasted. The girl, she doing the worst white woman dance you've ever seen. Like, let's get looking like Tina Belcher out of fucking Bob's Burgers with the whole hump in the back shit like this. Exactly. Just trash. And I was like, I almost hope we lose at this point. You were so fucking annoying. I almost want us to lose this shit. And sometimes the way these Cowboys are playing, that's what blew my mind watching First Take Undisputed, where people are like, the Cowboys played really well. I was like, we did? Were you at the same game? Because half the time I was like, the fuck are you doing? Seriously. So let's actually get into numbers now that I've actually just sat here and I'm bitched about this motherfucking game. All I'm going to say is, if you're going to spend $150 to go to a motherfucking game, you better make sure ain't no tall-ass white boy standing in front of you, and if so, throw a fucking pack of ice at the back of his head. And if you show up with a goddamn Packer fan, tell their asses they can fucking walk on their goddamn own, and you got time for this shit. This is why the Packers is trash right now. Out here just thinking the world revolves around them.
Yeah.
So mad.
Hello.
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying. So yes, I get it. But that's a lot. That's a lot to endure for sure. And brother, I feel you. I'm going to put this up real quick. Did the same thing the other day. Got both of them on the same arm as a fuck you to Aaron Rodgers. And it was, you're right. The next day, I was like I did a trailer reaction in the morning, and then I did nothing but fall asleep on my recliner here in my office for like 4 hours in the afternoon. Lindley had to come in and wake my ass up because I just was gone, man. It was rough.
Bro.
And then she had it rough as well because her arm was sore for a couple of days. But we are, it's worth it in the long run because you're vaccinated. Not that we're trying to choose a side.
Wait.
It's a personal preference.
I don't give a fuck about trying to push shit on nobody anymore because I've just realized that like everybody's an asshole. No matter what side you're on any sort of situation, everybody's a dick. I think what we've gotten to in society, this will be my one political bandstand right now, and I'm not even taking a side on shit.
We're gonna get to sports, I promise.
We will for sure. But like it could apply to sports too, because it used to be like, we gonna fuck you up, Commanders, you ain't shit. And it's like, no. You're a piece of trash. How dare you ever support this team? Your team used to be a racist name. You used to have Dan Snyder as a goddamn like owner and shit. True. And you are fucking ugly. Like that would be all the things that I would like people would say now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like even if you try and take nuance in whatever situation you want to talk about. Yeah. Star Wars, the Middle East, elections. It doesn't matter. Everybody in motherfucking just like fuck you, you stupid trash head. Like it, and that's where we're at now. And so I say all that to say, do you at this point with the vaccines? You ain't gonna convince nobody any different.
Yeah. People are where they're at on it. Yeah, exactly.
But I would much rather have had like a little baby fever and been exhausted yesterday, and now I don't have to worry about that shit. Than I catch either one of those, and then I hate everything. But
you're absolutely right. Because I went down for 2 weeks. I never ever want to get that again. So I have no problem jabbing myself to pieces. But yeah, we're gonna get into sports. So let's get into it. I just want to remind you all there's no super chats. We're not quite at 1,000 yet, but Streamlabs are open. You see the address above Winston and I's head, and of course I pinned it in the chat. So send in some support. You love us coming every week to talk sports with you all. Send in support as we go along here on the show. All right, let's start this thing off here, Winston. We got to start with your Cowboys. They did a great job handling and outlasting these Chargers 20-17. As you said, it wasn't easy. Felt like at times that they were having trouble taking care of these Chargers, but they did eventually handle it, and they took care of business here. Dak Prescott rallied them in the fourth quarter, something he hasn't always been able to do on the road, but did it here for a 20-17 victory. He threw 272 yards, went 21 for 30, ran for a touchdown, threw a touchdown, and he became the 30th quarterback in NFL history to throw at least one touchdown pass against 31 or more opponents when he threw that touchdown to Brandon Cooks. Look, the Chargers were in this thing the whole way. It was definitely one of those like heavyweight fights where you watch people, they just keep punching each other, but each one has such great defense that they can't quite get through, and it's just a couple of extra punches that makes the difference. We've seen those MMA fights, we've seen boxing fights like this, and in the end, Herbert was intercepted by Stephon Gilmore at the end, and that was that. So sending that poor Chargers fan into disarray. So your thoughts here overall? I mean, because you look at the Herbert stat, it's not a great stat. 22 of 37 for 227 with 2 touchdowns and interception. It was the defense that was bailing out the Chargers consistently. But the Dallas defense eventually wore down that Chargers offense and was getting in there in the last few drives of the fourth quarter to mess with Herbert's timing and to sack him multiple times. So what do you think about how they played overall in this game coming out for both of these teams?
From a Cowboys standpoint, again, being able to watch this firsthand, there's something very different being there than watching it on TV. You don't have the talking heads in your ear the whole time giving whatever it's what you're perceiving, right?
Yeah.
I know that they did a little better than, especially as a bounce back from what happened in San Francisco.
Right, 42-10, yeah.
But let's talk about a bunch of stuff. We're still only 50% in the red zone. They were 2-4, 50, in the red zone.
True.
Tony Pollard couldn't get above 30 yards rushing, like off of 15 carries. Right. So that's only averaging 2 per. You know what I mean? Like, yes, he had 80 yards through the air, which is great.
One catch was like 60-something yards. So that
right, exactly. And that was a wild play because that play was broken as hell. Yeah, that play was insane in that stadium because it's like, great, Dak is fucked. And then all of a sudden he's kind of shaving somebody. I was like, oh my God, he's still on. It's like, oh, he's about to get lit up. Last thing he gets it to Pollard. Pollard gets hit. Pollard said, gets up, starts running. I'm like, oh my God. And we thought he was going to score a touchdown, but I think just that one hit and that one little turnaround was enough because he got clipped at the end. But we lost it to the point where by the time we realized that he didn't score a touchdown, we were all confused because we were. So you saw some struggles on the ground, which is not great to see. And at times, like the defense did what they were supposed to do, and they stepped up at the end. But I am missing, and I know losing Diggs, we talked about that was a big deal.
Yeah.
I am missing the same kind of in-your-face, crush-you defense that we saw to those first couple of games.
Yeah.
Where they're really now, mind you, they did an excellent job. But what an adjustment to dealing with the rush after having to deal with Christian McCaffrey, which you did actually hold decently well, all things considered.
Yes,
you held Eckler to 27 yards.
Yeah.
Like I would get scared at some of the plays where I would see what looked like a hole opening up and I'm like, fuck, Eckler's going to take that. And then all of a sudden someone would pop off of the lineman that has them and grab an ankle or like, be able to like at least push him off balance so somebody else could get to him.
Yeah.
Like it would be little moments like that I was like, oh wow, it's they're actually realized that the rushing attack against them, their rush defense was a problem and they're making adjustments and you love to see that.
Yeah.
I'm just not getting that same pass rush. You're seeing Justin Herbert, who didn't have a great game, but he still had 227 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That interception at the end obviously was not great. And I will say,
but that was all pressure. That was pressure from the front line,
especially after the Parsons sack, the play right before.
Yes,
I think that he was the pressure was coming in. He was feeling. He could feel the ghosts. He could hear the footsteps as they say coming after just getting drilled. So I think that was a lot. And when I tell you that place was louder for that, than it was for anything else in that stadium, man. Like it's all that kind of adding up. So here's the thing.
Yeah,
the Chargers ultimately, while they do have a pretty decent offense, are genuinely just not a good team. Staley needs to get fired. I even said it to one of the fans walking out. I was like, hey man, hopefully your coach will get fired now. He's just like, have a good night. Like kind of brushing me off. And I was like, I wasn't even trying to be a dick. I could see how that sounds dickish, but he's not the answer. Staley,
have a good night, sir. Have a good night.
Staley is not a good coach. At least he's not.
No, I don't think so. I know because a lot of the talk this morning on these, because I love to watch in the morning to get a little more knowledge, a little more kind of perspective on some of these games from people who've played the games. I love the analysis. A lot of people coming after Herbert on this one, and I just don't understand that. I think it's Brandon Staley. He's a terrible coach. If you put Herbert with Shanahan over on the 49ers, good night, man. That kid is in another realm, another universe. I think Staley's a crap quarterback, and he's pissing away Herbert and his talents. Crap coach, and he's pissing away Herbert's talents as a quarterback.
I mean, that Justin Herbert and the way that he's played these last few years reminds me of Dak, where he has so much potential, but if you leave him with people that are going to stunt his growth, he's going to go from somebody that, because like he's been putting up ridiculous numbers yardage wise. It's just the Chargers can't seem to convert that into wins, right? Now, I agree with you. If you would put Herbert with Shanahan, like as good as Brock Purdy is, and I'll give him props, he didn't. It was interesting because we'll get to that game. The minute two of his main weapons went down, for all the talk of like Brock Purdy being the truth for a minute there, just not good.
It was tough,
but he rallied at the end, which I think is the proof that this kid is legit. Like we already said that the last couple of weeks. But the fact that when it was on,
we didn't. You eventually came around and agreed with me last week. Let's not rewrite history here. But yes, I will give you the we for last week. But we can check the tape later. But go ahead. Yes, keep going.
Check the tape. I hope you got enough free time to find all the tape, Rocha. But all that being said, I agree with you. If you put a Herbert in a 49ers offense, if you put Herbert down in Miami, oh my God, if you put Herbert in Miami, like Tua's good,
sure,
but Herbert's like I think a decent amount better. And I actually take offense to all of the Tua MVP talk right now, because I said this before and I'll say it again. It's Tyreek Hill.
I know carrying that team, for God's sakes.
What's wild to me is like, and then people making the argument, well, if Tyreek Hill has 2,300 yards, that's just the base for the quarterback. They have other people they threw to. If Tyreek Hill has 30 touchdowns, that would mean that the quarterback also has 30 touchdowns plus whoever else he threw it to or ran it to himself. I'm like, I get that. But if you then actually, instead of just looking at raw numbers, which are important, but instead of just looking at raw numbers, if you look at, Tua threw it to Tyreek Hill in a screen on the flat, and Tyreek Hill rated for 85 yards, ducking and dodging around every motherfucker. How about you give the dude that's doing things that don't make sense?
Yeah.
Like they're due. I'm not saying Tua's not playing well, but like, in my opinion, it's not close between the two of them.
Yeah.
It is 1,000% Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And Tua is a distant second between Dolphins players that are up for MVP, let alone Tyreek Hill, in my opinion, is winning the race out of all MVP candidates. But that's me.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you for sure. We're going to see what's going to happen here with these Cowboys and these Chargers, because I do think Brandon Staley is headed to a firing if these Chargers don't make the playoffs. And we'll see if the Cowboys can kind of navigate now bouncing back, because everyone's talking about, they bounce back. They could have lost this game. It was close. It was really close. If Herbert gets a couple of lucky bounces there in that fourth quarter, a couple of lucky throws, or a couple, it could have turned the whole game around, for God's sake.
That fucking punt.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm sitting here, especially because I start screaming when they overturn it. I'm like, he ran into him during a fucking fair catch. And someone goes, hey, bro, calm down. The Chargers player pushed a Cowboys player into his own defender. Yeah. That's why. And I was like, bitch, shut up. I was just shut your mouth.
All right, well, let's move on to the biggest upset of the weekend. We have two upsets back to back to talk about. Let's get into this Browns game. Winston was mentioning Brock Purdy, who he's all of a sudden seen the light on. He gutted out a interesting performance here against these Browns. It wasn't enough. The Browns won this thing 19-17 behind PJ Walker, a third-string quarterback. They pulled out of the stands to come and play for them against these 49ers. But I'll tell you what, the Browns were dialed into this game. And this is what happens sometimes. When you're riding high, when you believe in your press, when people are kissing your ass, you walk into a game and you don't understand the conditions. Maybe you don't prepare as hard as you did for Dallas. You come into Cleveland and it's raining and this team has nothing to really play for. And you start jawing with them because apparently they were going at each other 30 minutes before the game started. Trent Williams was getting into it. Let me tell you something about Trent Williams. I had him on what was then the Redskins, of course, now the Commanders. Great player, and at times a stupid player because he gets into these situations. He also gets a lot of false starts, a lot of holding calls on him, but he gets into these situations jawing with people, and it blows up in his face more often than not. And apparently that kind of motivated Cleveland even more. But this was a back and forth game, knockdown, drag out. Yes, they lost Deebo Samuel in the first half. They lost McCaffrey to a oblique injury, but Purdy still drove them down in a position to kick a game-winning field goal, and the rookie kicker, Jake Moody, missed it wide right, and the Browns won the game. So we can certainly go after Brock, but Brock got him in position to win the game. That's not on Brock that the homie didn't kick the field goal. So what are your thoughts coming out of this game about the 49ers and a little bit about the Browns, if there's anything to take from this game?
I will say this. I still think that Brock Purdy has the sauce, but it's so interesting to see how pedestrian he became once Deebo and Christian were gone.
Yeah.
He has the metal, and I think that, again, we kept saying like a young Brady. And if you go look at young Brady numbers, the poise is there, but he's just not that guy yet.
Yeah.
I think the same thing is true. I think the poise is there with Purdy. Yeah. He doesn't bend under pressure, but he walked away with 125 yards, a touchdown, and an interception.
That's not great.
You know what I'm saying? So I genuinely believe, and I think this is the truth of the matter, and this is why I give Purdy his flowers. I know there's a few people in here that love to go, he had Deebo and Harrison McCaffrey and Bayuka, blah, blah, blah. He's got the weapons. Yes, he does. And that's what's made him be undefeated as a starter until yesterday or until Sunday.
You're right.
I will give you that.
Yeah.
However, there is something to be said about somebody in this situation. He marched them down the field when it was time to put the game on his shoulders.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, he's not the quarterback and the kicker. So he couldn't finish it. You know what I'm saying? And so that is something to be said. Again, I'm giving this kid his flowers, and he's the person that you would want to have as your starter, as your franchise quarterback. That is enough proof. What scares me to know is that over time, he's only gonna get better.
No, right, exactly.
You know,
yep,
and that's it. So now, mind you, the difference I will say, the 49ers will not win titles without McCaffrey and Debo and the whole squad. You need the whole squad, especially when you consider every team has that one lethal combo. And if you have more than one, like if Mahomes doesn't have Kelsey, they ain't winning shit. They'll do things that they do because you have Patrick Mahomes, but you ain't winning shit. If Tua doesn't have Tyreek Hill, the Dolphins aren't even talked about. You know what I'm saying? If Josh Allen doesn't have Stephon Diggs, then they'll make it to another conference championship game and then lose it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody needs to have their lethal combo on offense to pull it off. So if there's this long-standing injuries for McCaffrey and Debo, the Niners might be in trouble. But if it's like we might miss them a week or two, they'll be fine. Like the loss, better to lose now in week 6 than lose it week like 16, 17 in a shitty fashion. And then all of a sudden you're like, is our chemistry falling apart when we need it to be clicking on all cylinders, you know? So
I think this is on the defense too. Let's be real. I mean, they allowed the Cleveland Browns with a backup third string quarterback to get 19 points on them. That thing, I see Sean already going after because he's never going to be swayed no matter what happens. I mean, Purdy could win a Super Bowl. He still won't give him credit. Never mind Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce played for Mahomes, but whatever. You see the situation here and you go, okay, well, the weapons are here and he lost Debo. He lost Christian McCaffrey in game. That can mess you up as a quarterback, especially in his arguably still rookie year, as he had 8 games last year. We're 6 games into this year. So still within a rookie timetable amount of games that he has started. You got to adapt, and it's not easy for a team to adapt and improvise when 2 really big playmakers go out. He still had the guts to march that team down the field on third downs. By the way, he was throwing some bullets on those third downs to keep these drives alive, to get them into position. I didn't like Shanahan sitting on the ball and bringing in the field goal kicker. I thought that was a dumb move. I thought Purdy was feeling it. They were in rhythm. They had about 12 seconds, 10 seconds. He should have thrown at least one more pass to try to get even a little bit closer, maybe a dart to the sideline that would have allowed them to bring the field goal kicker with a shorter amount of distance. It was a 48-yard field goal, not always a gimme. And so I thought that was a mistake on Shanahan's part. But Purdy, I like a kid who pushes through adversity, and he did. So, he didn't have 300 yards, he didn't have all the whatever. He still put them in a position to win. And as you said earlier, that's a good mark on a good quarterback. Herbert didn't do that last night, and he had all his weapons last night and couldn't get them into position to tie the game or win the game. Right. But Purdy was able to do that. So, we'll see how he reacts to this. We'll see how they bounce back. We'll see how they deal with injuries. But I think the defense has got to take a little bit of a hit on this.
You see Sean over here running his mouth. What did I just say? You didn't have Tyreek Hill. You know what you had? Travis Kelce. Just stop it.
Yeah, Kelce.
What are you? And Pacheco, who all of a sudden decided he wanted to be like a real thing. I'm not going to let you do this. You're not going to act like, it was Patrick Mahomes against the world. He had nobody. Come on.
Brady is the only one who's ever done it with a bunch of no-name weapons.
I wouldn't even do that.
And even the one he did it with Randy Moss, that didn't win.
I still wouldn't say he never did it with any nobodies. I mean, we're gonna sit here and pretend like Julian Edelman actually was one of the greatest slot receivers we've ever seen. That insane catch where he's breaking his own back to get the ball. Come on now. And Gronk has retired and unretired plenty of times where Gronk's ass was around.
I guess I was thinking more of the early years. It was always these kind of no-name receivers who would come in. And people don't talk about them as the greatest receivers ever, but they respect them.
But early years were more like what the Niners look like now. You had a star-studded, all-star defense, and this young quarterback who isn't he's not what Tom Brady ultimately becomes.
Yeah.
But there is a level of poise and professionalism there that even though he's only putting up like maybe 195 yards and a touchdown on the game, he's hitting key plays where it's like 3rd and 7 and he gets the first. You're like, wow, that was an incredible play. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's kind of the same thing with Brock Purdy right now. Not a statistically great game. Right. But exactly. Again, when it was time to go get that dub, when it's like the chips are down right now.
Yeah.
Purdy goes, all right. And he put himself in the position to win. It's just the team couldn't fit. It's a team game. This isn't this isn't Brock Purdy versus the Cleveland Browns.
Right.
It's the San Francisco 49ers versus the Cleveland Browns. And the fact that y'all are making me defend the fucking 49ers, it's like my bad day just continued into fucking Tuesday. I hate all of you. Thank you for watching the show.
Yes, please. Thank you for watching. But Jake Moody missed 2 field goals. So we're not even having this conversation if he makes the 50-40 yarder in the first half and he makes the 48 yarder at the end of the game. So we're not even having this conversation in the end that the 49ers lost. They could have easily won this game. They had it there. They certainly started out like gangbusters. But the Cleveland Browns defense, all credit to them, they're the number 1 defense in the NFL. People seem to be overlooking this. The Cleveland defense is the number 1 defense in the NFL. Look it up. They are monsters. Myles Garrett is an absolute monster. That's why I think they quietly have a shot. If Deshaun comes back and he's doing well, they quietly have a shot of sneaking in and grabbing that wild card or maybe even challenging the Ravens for the AFC North. So it is very possible that could happen. So just throwing that out there because that defense was incredible to watch. And once they allowed the touchdown to McCaffrey, they seemed to figure out the offensive playbook of Shanahan. Then those injuries going out, it made it a lot easier for them to play a certain type of defense against Brock Purdy. And as I said, at the end, it wasn't enough. But I got to ask you this, Winston, before we go to break. There was some controversy at this game with a call that helped the Browns go down and kick that field goal. It was a pass or it was a hit to the defenseless receiver. Your thoughts on this? Let's take a look at this hit here. Who was it? Who was getting hit? Where is it? Here we go. This questionable. Do you think that was a legitimate penalty here? Is what they were saying, that he was hit as a defenseless receiver or helmet to helmet is what they were calling it. Are they going to take a look at it again? Are they not going to? Okay, so let's take a look at this. Just hit it one more time. It was a personal foul. Here we go. That's shoulder to shoulder. And the ball bounced off his hands and they called that unnecessary roughness or a defenseless receiver. But I mean, what are we doing here? This is still the NFL, for God's sakes. I don't think that should have been called as a penalty at all. He did exactly what he's supposed to do. Did not go helmet to helmet, went for the shoulder, led with the shoulder. If you're calling penalties like that on DBs that are doing exactly what you told them they're allowed to do, so they don't get the hit, so they have adjusted the way they play, then God damn it, what are we going? It's a wrong message to send. Then what are these going to just let them waltz through the fucking secondary? It's nonsense. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a bad call, and I think I'm getting real tired of this having to be the discussion every year.
Yeah,
I feel like every year we're like, what the fuck is wrong with the refs?
Right?
Like they keep like there is.
It's getting
what
bad.
I do appreciate. There was I think it was Sherman on Undisputed who was breaking this down, is that the refs, based on their games and their tape is looked at and the calls they've made, they get a scorecard.
Yeah.
And those that have the highest points once we go into the playoffs, they are the ones that get to continue on. So you still need X amount of refs. So let's say let's call it 5. I'm sure it's more than this, but let's say it's 5 refs in any particular game, and then you might need like 100 working. That's probably bad math, but whatever. You need 100 working during the regular season. It'll drop to like 50 for round 1, and then it'll drop to 25. You know what I'm saying? It'll continue to go down, and the best of the best. So I think you're just having the situation where like you have the San Francisco-based ref squad or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? And they're not great. Yeah. And then they're not going to be relevant later because that just looks like a terrible call.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, you're human. The speed at which they're going, everything's tucked. once you see it on camera, if you're allowed to go on camera and reverse a call, fine.
Yeah.
But are they allowed to do that?
No, that's the thing. They're not allowed to do that, and you're not allowed to challenge these kinds of calls.
Then I understand that call, because watch it again, Rocha. Is this
watch now? Watch. See the DB. He has his eyes on the receiver. He sees the ball coming, so he is already in motion to hit the receiver. So for him, he doesn't know
that looks like helmet to helmet in real time, Rocha.
Right.
If you're not allowed to go to the tape and go, oh, that was shoulder to shoulder, that looks like helmet to helmet. As soon as this ball hits his hands,
right.
You had the freeze frame. Go right back to it.
Right there. So, but I'm saying, I see some people in the chat going like, well, he jumped the route. He didn't jump the route. He watched the receiver. The ball comes towards the receiver. That's he is already in motion to hit the receiver, assuming the receiver is going to catch the ball. So he is already in motion.
But that's not the problem. The problem is right here. That right there. You had it. Go back just one frame. That looks like helmet to helmet. Yeah. And if you're watching that in real time and the speed at which they hit each other, I do not blame them for being like that. And again, if you can't go look at the tape and go, that was our bad, we're picking the flag up, then that's the correct call.
I agree. And it's something we're dealing with in the Premier League, the VAR situation. I think with these kinds of situations, there should be a referee up in the booth who's like, wait a minute, let's take a look at this. This is a critical call on a critical drive. We don't want to give unfair competitive advantage to the team by calling an incorrect penalty. So let's take a look at it and see what we got. His head is clearly on the other side of the dude's shoulder pads. This is not jumping a route. He sees that the receiver is coming across, is getting the ball. He starts moving towards the receiver as the ball comes through. As the ball bounces off the receiver's hands, he's already in motion to hit the receiver. So to him, he was not trying to maim or hurt or hit a defenseless receiver. He was already in motion towards a receiver. So you can't hit someone defenseless who you didn't know was going to be defenseless at the time. And I think that's where the penalty is incorrect to be called. I like the helmet-to-helmet call. I think it's a good penalty to have in the NFL. But you're telling DBs to not go helmet to helmet, that you can lead with your shoulder. And then when they do, you're still going to throw the penalty. Or the flag. I think it's going to send the wrong message to DBs.
I get it. And I'm also of the mind, like, I think here's the only difference here. Again, we just saw it in slow motion and said it looks like helmet to helmet. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Again, if this was a situation, I think you're frozen, by the way. I don't know if it's
Am I?
me.
Oh,
yeah. You're frozen with a little bubble with the thumbs up or something.
Oh, this is a weird thing of the new here. Go ahead, keep going. I'm gonna come back out and come back in.
Okay, no worries. But yeah, I guess the big thing that just like seeing out of this is a situation where, again, in real time, that 100% looks like a helmet to helmet hit. Now, again, once we saw it and we saw that it was a shoulder check to shoulder check type situation, and also in real time, he sees the ball is coming into homeboy's hands. So you are trying to hit them so that they will drop the ball. All of that made logical sense. Like, I'm not penalizing the receiver for that, but if I think that we've had helmets colliding, we know that's a giant no, you're not. The NFL knows they can't have another Will Smith concussion movie coming out. Like, they need to limit that kind of stuff, because heaven forbid if you have any of those type situations, yes, it's a shoulder check to Tua, but if Tua took another headshot like that, we're all going to be in panic mode, just because, like, he's learned how to fall properly. But if he's taking a sack and someone comes in head first and collides with it, Lord Jesus. So I don't know, man. That call doesn't bother me. It really, really doesn't, especially if we've got a few, like, there we go. So if we've got a few things one way or the other, I don't, you know what I mean? I think that call is fine. I genuinely think that call is fine.
Okay. All right. Well, let's take a quick break and we'll jump into some more games and answer some of your super chats right after this. I should have just gone to break.
You probably should have. Bro, I'm dying because I made a point about Tua and, like, if he had taken another head-to-head himself, that if he got another concussion, and someone goes, but jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu, right? He's been training.
Because my point was this: you can learn how to fall. That's fine. But a hit like that, again, if a ref sees that in real time, it looks like you have rammed the crown of your head into somebody else. And if that actually does happen,
yeah.
Tua takes a headshot, that could be a wrap on Tua, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But I gotta hold on. Let me ask you a question. Who are we about to talk about? Oh, okay. Well, I see what we're talking about next.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead. I can't wait till we get to talk about the Bills because something fucked up. Not only the last play, which is you want to talk about a bad call and a bad call by a bad no call, like Saints Rams bad. I'll give it to you. The stakes are a little less here.
Right.
But that was a bad no call.
But I think they were going to do that until they forced the refs not to make the call. I think they were going to offensive pass interference the Giants to oblivion and just force the refs to constantly, because you lose nothing. It's the last play of the game. You might as well offensive PI until they do, or a defensive PI until they don't call it. And it's a little bit of a loophole. And I wouldn't put it past the coach of the Bills to have told the defender, like, dude, hit him. I don't care. See if you can get away with it as much as you can. And see if they won't throw the flag. And they didn't. But I hear your point. It looked like interference to me. So, but, it's an interesting game. Anyway, let's hit a couple of these Streamlabs. Mike Joy says, the Bears are such a joke. With Fields likely out the rest of the season again, any college quarterbacks you think would be a good fit? The Bears will likely have 2 high picks in the draft since we have the Panthers' first-round pick also. It's a good question, and especially having watched the Oregon-Washington game this weekend, which I thought was one of the best college football games I've ever seen in my life, that was hyped and lived up to the hype, if not surpassed the hype. And I would be looking at Michael Penix Jr. or Bo Nix to come in and be the quarterback for these Bears.
That's actually his name? Because I saw Jeremy put in Michael Penix, and I was like, Michael Penis? What the fuck?
No, Penix, P-E-N-I-X. Yeah.
No, I know. And I was like, why are we talking about somebody's penis? What the fuck? Like, I didn't know that's a real man's. Oh, man. Is Michael Penix black?
Yes.
I guarantee you he probably hates other black people because they roasted the fuck out his ass.
Oh, probably.
All of elementary, middle, high school, they roasted the fuck out of this.
He did. He learned to fight because of it. It's like Boy Named Sue and shit.
He must have. All my life I had to fight. Like, oh my God, bro.
And I would also throw in as a personal hometown favorite, Jordan Travis, who I think has come on really well for the Florida State Seminoles. He is fantastic this year. That kid has finally turned around as a quarterback. Could be a real interesting prospect in the NFL. But the Bears, I've said this, the illusion last week, it was an illusion that the Justin Fields played well last week. The Commanders were coming off that emotional game against the Eagles. We were not ready for the Bears to come in like that, and we got smoked. Fair enough. But Justin Fields, in no way is this about coaching or anything else. I just think he's like Trey Lance. I think he's just one of these guys that has a lot of athletic ability, but can't put it together here when he's playing consistently enough to be a successful quarterback in the NFL. And the Bears are paying the price for it and lost to the Vikings, which we'll get to a little bit later. But one more here. Doug Developer says, as a Jets fan, I'm actually going to start rooting for the Patriots to win some games to get them as far away from Caleb Williams as possible. Likewise, you guys should start rooting for the Giants for the same reason. I don't truck with Caleb Williams. I don't know about you, Winston, if you've been watching Caleb for USC. He's a little bit of a crybaby on my end. So I'm not necessarily sure I want to have Caleb Williams as the quarterback of my NFL team. And he played horribly against the Notre Dame Irish there. But what are your thoughts on this? And we're going to get into the Jets game right after we answer this. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, one bad game isn't the end of the world. He's put up pretty consistent stuff. I think this is where that movie Draft Day actually comes in. Oh, if I found out, because like there was a couple things, rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman, but his character, he kept insisting I should be the number one pick. I'm telling you, I should be the number one pick. Right. Let me give you some of the dish. Like, go watch two things. Yep. One, why are none of his teammates going to his birthday party? So is it a situation that people like don't like him? So like that's what we're finding out about Russell Wilson. Have you seen all of these interviews that people have been doing from that era, from the Legion of Boom era of the Seahawks? Yeah. There was a really good one.
Skittles torn apart,
bro. It was him and Uncle Shay on Club Shay Shay, and he was talking about it. He's like, I was just trying to get a whole I wanted to call my quarterback and just let him know, hey man, if you ever need anything, whatever, like I got you, fam. And so he was like trying to he's trying to call him, and he was like, hey, can I get his? I was like, oh no, you don't have his number, bro. and so then all of a sudden he's like, all right, we'll have Russell call me. And he goes, hey, did you talk to Russell? And he goes, no. Well, he's like, well, he called you. And it's like, I only have a call from a blocked number. I wasn't going to answer that. He goes, oh, that was Russ. And it's like, nigga, I'm not the paparazzi. I'm the dude that's blocking for you so you don't get trucked during the middle of games. What the fuck? What the fuck? So, finding out that Russell Wilson sucks is wild as far as just like a human, especially because he's I'm not. I'll put it. I know I'm going on a far tangent here, and maybe
you're in tangent city on the show today. Go ahead,
and I'm only doing that because if we're talking about Caleb Williams, if we're finding out that like this kind of self-destruction, if the chips get down, he all of a sudden can't handle it. That was the other thing about draft day that made that thing interesting, was that the quarterback, yes, they won the game, but not because of him. He started to fully self-destruct because he was terrified of the Chadwick Boseman linebacker fucking him up. He started making mistakes. So if that's what's going to happen to Caleb Williams, fine. But I think one bad game isn't gonna like, he'll be fine.
We'll see. Well, let's move on to the Jets here. Breece Hall ran for a touchdown after Tony Adams' interception of Jalen Hurts, and the Jets erased an 11-point deficit and shocked the Eagles here 20-14. This was right after the 49ers losing to the Browns. I couldn't believe it. I was like, God damn it. I'm going to endure a week of the Eagles fans crowing about they're the only undefeated team in the NFL. No one believed in them. No one gave them credit for their wins this year. And boom, they lost to the Jets. And this Jets defense came to play, man. Hurts was 28 of 45. He threw 45 times for 280 yards. He had a touchdown here, but he also threw three interceptions, and the Eagles turned the ball over 4 times. Zach Wilson was 19 of 33 for 186 yards, no touchdowns, but he also had no turnovers, which is, I guess, what they're asking him to do. And Rodgers, the spotlight hungry Aaron Rodgers, showed up at the stadium in his walking boot and threw the ball around, and everybody's like, oh my God, no one has ever walked in 30 days after an Achilles injury. The nonsense of it all. But you got to give credit to the defense of the Jets. They showed up and showed out in this game against Hurts. And Robert Saleh afterwards in the post-game press conference talked about how his defense has made these incredible quarterbacks look pedestrian against them. So I like that the Jets have a possibility here. If they can, if certain things bounce their way, they might sneak into these damn playoffs. And no one thought that after Rodgers went out in game 1. What are your thoughts coming out of this game and what happened with Philadelphia?
I mean, there's a couple things, man. First of all, I think I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts is fully regressed. Like that's not like that's no. I'm dead serious. That would be a ridiculous thing to say. He's proven that he is their franchise quarterback.
Yes.
I also think though that we've seen that similar to the season prior to last year, he does have certain limits. Because when Patrick Mahomes arrived and was like, I'm here, like I'm that guy.
Yeah.
He never really went back.
Right.
That was it. He was officially Patrick Mahomes, and that was that. You know what I'm saying? Like, same thing with Aaron Rodgers. He might have a bad game or two, but he was there. What I found about Jalen Hurts that's interesting. He's got more interceptions than Dak Prescott, and we love to clown Dak Prescott about that.
It's true.
As a matter of fact, as far as interception leaders right now, he is only below Jimmy Garoppolo. He is tied with Mac Jones for the most interceptions in the league so far at 7.
Yeah.
So, like, you know what I'm saying? On top of that, let's see. So Jalen is also he's the 14th most sacked quarterback also in the league as well. And that's more on your line typically. But like, you know what I'm saying? There is certain, like a decent level of poise that kicks in to try and be like, oh shit, let me, So again, Jalen's still the guy. He's still, the eighth best in yardage. As far as QBR right now, it looks like he is 10th. So like he's still doing work, but Let me tell you the quarterbacks that are better than him just in QBR right now. Number 1 is Brock Purdy. So again, y'all got to put some respect on this boy's name. 10 touchdowns to 1 interception and almost 1,400 yards. He's at 1,396. So Josh Allen at number 2, Tua at number 3, Jared Goff, who is honestly, he's right now, if you're picking a quarterback for MVP, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Jared Goff is my quarterback MVP candidate right now.
You got to have he's in the conversation. He's absolutely
he has to be, bro.
Yeah.
11 touchdowns, over 3 interceptions, 1,600 yards already. Like, my guy is balling out of control.
And they're 5-1. Yeah.
5-1. Patrick Mahomes is at number 5. Justin Herbert is at number 6. Prescott at 7. Baker Mayfield at 8. Matthew Stafford at 9. And Hurts is at 10. How are you at number 10 as far as that QBR when you were an MVP candidate last year? Yeah. Which is why I kept saying about the Eagles. The Eagles are still good. Yeah. The Eagles still have the potential to go back to the Super Bowl, but this ain't the Eagles of last year, bro. They really aren't.
And you got to look at the defense here. I was reading the Ringer. Shout out to Ben Solak. He has great breakdowns the next day after the games are had, and he was talking about the injuries on the Eagles in terms of the upset that happened, and he talked about these loss of the corners and the safety situations that you've had with the Eagles here. What do you got? Where is it? Oh, here we go. They were alternating quarterbacks during this game. They had Josh Joby there before wheeling in Eli Ricks, who got hurt, which pushed Joby back in the lineup. Then nickel cornerback Bradley Roby, who they signed literally off the street 2 weeks ago, and has been a stabilizing veteran in that young secondary, also left the game with an injury. So it was Roby and starting nickel Avonte Maddox, who were both out. Then Mario Goodrich had to man that slot. Then at safety, Justin Evans is on the IR. Sidney Brown was also out for the game. And then Reed Blankenship left this game with an injury. So those are the safeties. They had no plan to put those guys in place. And then this morning or yesterday, on ESPN, they talked about that Lane Johnson has an injured right ankle, and he's their offensive tackle. Number 1 offensive tackle there for Jalen Hurts. So it is going to be an interesting battle for the Eagles over the next few weeks with these injuries, both on their defense and their offensive side of the ball, to get some W's. And they're about to enter into the real tough meat of their schedule here as a team. And it doesn't get any easier for them after this game against the Jets, because they the Dolphins come to visit them there, and then they're at the Commanders, then they're at Dallas, or then they have Dallas rather come into town, then they're in Kansas City, then they have Buffalo, then the 49ers, then Dallas again, then the Seahawks. That is a murderer's row of weeks that the Eagles are going to have to kind of find a way to get some victories here. And if they go on a shitty run here, as you say, Jalen Hurts possibly regressing or having some issues, they could be a 500 team at some point during this run, dude, which could be crazy to consider.
What's wild is just based on how they're playing and based on what I saw out of your defense the last couple of games. Y'all aren't converting them to wins. You're still 500, so you're not doing that bad. I see. Damn, bro.
That's a rough schedule.
I don't want to be. I'm gonna knock on wood because I don't want this. I don't want this to actually happen. But I think the Eagles would lose to the Dolphins, lose to y'all potentially.
Yes, we owe them
because it's at home. Because it's also at home, and you were this close.
Yes,
if they lose to y'all, I want to say we're gonna win that game, but let's just for the sake to think that they're gonna go on a full-on losing tear is wild. I'll say they beat us. But then they lose to the Chiefs, they lose to the Bills, they lose to the Niners, and they lose to us again. And then they beat the Seahawks. That's crazy. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They go 6 of 7 in losses, or I guess or 1 of 7 in wins. Like, that's crazy. But I could genuinely see that happening very easily. Yeah, I could very easily see that happening.
I'm saying they're 5-1 right now. If over the next 7 games they win only 6 of them, they go 1-6. That puts them at 6-7.
1, meaning they lose to the Dolphins. So then they become 5-2. They lose to y'all. They become 5-3. They beat us. They go 6-3.
Yep.
They lose to the Chiefs. They go 6-4. They lose to the Bills. They go 6-5. They lose to the Niners. They go 6-6.
Yeah.
They lose to us. They go 6-7.
Yeah.
I genuinely see that potentially happening. They're still the reigning NFC champions.
Yeah.
So like, odds are they're not going to lose that many games in a span.
Right.
But holy fuck, the way they played against the Jets like that with no goddamn quarterback. What are you going to do when now all of a sudden you got to deal with Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones is leading that Chiefs defense to actually set people up? What you going to do when the Bills defense is doing work and Josh Allen is playing some of his best ball? What you going to do if Christian McCaffrey and Debo are back and Brock Purdy is like, I lost a game now. I have no fear, bitch. Like, what are you going to do?
It's going to be a rough run, man. I mean, and that's the thing. And they're going to be lucky to get into the wild card because I think the Cowboys are going to have a better record by the time it's all said and done, and they're done
only
with that.
One game behind now. That was definitely a must win.
Yeah,
in a week when you already have 2 losses and there are 2 undefeated teams. If both of them lose, you don't want to be playing this game week 17 of like, oh, we need them to lose a couple games and then we can. You need to play catch up now in these moments, and thank God we stepped up, man.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so we'll see what happens in the Jets. I mean, do you think there's a possibility Aaron Rodgers comes back? Like, do you think they're able to keep this going to the point where Aaron Rodgers could come back, sneak them into a wild card playoff position, and then God knows what happens from here? Because fuck, I don't want that to happen because the last thing I need is for Aaron Rodgers to say "I told you so" and his mystic cave medicine.
They could very easily do that. Let's take a look at some of their schedule. Okay. They play the Giants next.
Yes.
That's the battle for New York seems already won here.
I think the Jets win that one.
I think the Jets win that easily.
Yeah.
Then they play the Chargers at home. I honestly think that they got that on lock too.
That defense against Justin Herbert and Brandon Staley's coaching, I will take that defense every time.
Yeah. Raiders, I think that's also a win. So that's you're on you would be on a 5-game winning streak at that point.
Right.
You'd be adding 3 more wins. So you'd be 6-3.
Yep.
I think you lose to the Bills.
Probably at Buffalo.
I know you won that first game, but there was a lot of emotions in the building. Yeah. You would now be in Buffalo in the middle of November, so we're going to start seeing. Like I know New York is cold, but Buffalo, just like Foxborough, Lambeau, like just how cold it gets. Yeah. So we're already starting to get to that cold weather type situation and whatnot. And the Bills, I think they win that. I think the Dolphins win that first matchup against the Jets. I think you could beat the Falcons. I think you could beat the Texans, even though CJ Stroud is like playing pretty damn well. Yeah, I think you could beat them. I think you lose both matchups to the Dolphins. I just think that they're a better team. I think they can beat you guys. You guys, you don't scare me. You really don't. Like, I just say I gave y'all the win over the Eagles because it's a division game.
It was close.
So it's a division game, so and it was so close that last time. So I think you can finish the job next time. But I think that you guys would get stomped out by the Jets. I know they only got Zach Wilson, but like that defense would embarrass Sam Howell. You know this.
We'll see. Our defense will embarrass Zach Wilson. Come on.
Okay.
We'll see. Come on.
And then you're gonna lose to the Browns and you beat the Patriots. So I see what? 3-4 L's, 1, 2, 3, only 4 L's. So
which leaves them at 10-7.
Yeah, that's a great record. That's enough to get you a wild card potentially, because I still think that the Dolphins and the Bills are slotted to win the division. I don't think the Jets are sniffing that. But if you can sneak one of those lower wild card seeds out of 10-7. Then why not have Aaron Rodgers come back? And he is above schedule. This is not normal for an Achilles injury to be recovering this fast, John.
I mean, Kobe was shooting free throws by this point, but all right, that's fine.
After 30 days.
Yeah, after 30 days, he was shooting free throws. He was at the Lakers compound shooting free throws.
Okay, so then
I'm just saying these athletes are on a whole nother level because it's not like regular people.
It's not just the athletes. We have to talk about the medicine.
Yeah, medicine, 100%. That's what I mean.
Yeah, and the difference is when you're a multimillionaire and a multi-billion-dollar corporation is paying for all of your health while you are still active for them. Yeah. You have weird cybernetic enhancements.
Of course,
there's still things that hold you out. There's still random knee injuries and stuff like that normally makes you wait. this is the type of injury that normally we wouldn't be seeing him until fall of next year at the earliest. Because think about how bad Kevin Durant's Achilles injury was, and he was out. Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Now, that's different because you're running up and down the court for like 82 games a year, like constantly. And as quarterback, you do need to be mobile enough to scramble in case you get hit and stuff like that. But like, you can kind of be in shotgun and just hold the pocket down. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, this is wild, and he might actually come back before the year's over. I thought they were crazy, but maybe they're right.
Here's great karma. He comes back. The Jets get into the playoffs, and he throws 3 interceptions and loses the game for the playoffs for the Jets. That's perfect.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something fucked up. Like, he comes back, he gets to the AFC Championship game. That's the game he comes back, and somehow Zach Wilson led him all the way there, and then his immunized ass catches COVID, and then he I thought that's what you were going to say, and I was like, no. God.
And I'm not wishing another injury on him. I think that's bad karma to do. I know. But I do think there is spiritual karma, and I think he deserves a little bit of spiritual karma of some of the shit he's pulled, especially trying to get into a flame war with Travis Kelce over vaccines, which was ridiculous. All right, let's take a quick break, and because we're at an hour mark, and we'll jump into the rest of the stuff. We'll power through it because we've only done 4 games in an hour, so we'll be right back right after this. All right, let's move on to the Dolphins. Tua threw 3 touchdowns to the Dolphins past the Panthers, 42-21. And this was standard. And I put this in the top half of the conversation because this is the Dolphins look, except for that one game, obviously against the Bills, they do look like they have absolutely a incredible offensive machine humming here all around. It isn't just Tua. It is also Tyreek Hill, Archain, although Archain went out obviously with that injury, but no problems stepping in here and all of that happening with them. They even spotted the Panthers 14 points and came storming back and stomped them. But I do want to point out, Winston, what is this celebration all about? Did you get a chance to see the Tyreek Hill celebration that he's probably going to be fined by in the NBA? I don't know if you saw this, or NFL rather. He had a touchdown, right? And he knew where his social media guy was. So he ran over to his social media guy, grabbed his phone, did a selfie flip with the phone, for God's sakes. And that's his social media guy. He planned this ahead of time. Plus, he's got a white social media guy. No surprise.
Time out. That is his social media guy?
His personal social media guy. His guy was doing a live broadcast of watching the game, himself watching the game, talking about it, because Tyreek Hill had planned that if he scored a touchdown, he was going to run over, grab the phone while he was doing a live feed and do a flip for the people who were watching him on live feed there during the game. He planned this whole thing out. Your thoughts on this, man?
I mean, I always thought it was stupid that they were getting to the point where you weren't like, there's a reason why the NFL started standing for no fun league.
Yeah, the no fun league.
No more props. One of the best damn touchdown celebrations of all time. Joe Horn catches a touchdown, runs over to the damn fucking field goal post, lifts it up, pulls out a cell phone, boop, boop, boop. Hey, y'all, I just scored. Click, and threw it to the side. It was genius. That shit was hilarious. Yeah. That was so funny. T.O. running to get the popcorn.
The popcorn. Come on.
Ocho Cinco with the pom-poms.
Yeah.
Was that Ocho Cinco or was that also T.O.? I can't remember.
I think it was T.O. with the pom-poms.
It was also T.O. with the pom-poms. Out here with the cheerleaders.
Right.
The shit is hilarious. Like, if you're able to score on somebody like that, like other professional teams like that, bro, you should be allowed to go and celebrate as long as you're not doing something to hurt somebody.
Right.
You're able to do whatever the F you want. And it's like,
these are the Dolphins celebrations as Winston is talking about this. They have been perfecting their celebrations all season. What? This is like soccer level shit. Do you know what I'm saying? Look at this stuff that they're doing here. Other teams must be getting pissed at some point at this stuff. Once they start playing like some really high level teams,
then stop them. I do not. He did a backflip. Fuck you. Be better. Like, if you don't want to get made fun of, if you don't want someone doing a flip in your face and jumping in the Salvation Army bin and pulling out cell phones and dancing with cheerleaders, stop them.
Yeah.
That's that. Like, I don't. It always bothers me when people are like, just play the game. Shut up. It's part of the game. Part of it is messing with your head. If I can get in here, because that's the thing. Those touchdown celebrations, if it pisses you off, but not in the way that you then go and get that sack next time, go and get the interception, you crumble, that's on you.
That's on you, 100%. I'm from the Michael Wilbon school of looking at things. If you don't want me to run up the score and score 77 points on you, stop me. You got to stop me. And I 100% agree with that shit. 100%. This is why a couple of weeks ago you got mad that Mike didn't go, or that the coach of the Dolphins didn't go for the record, because you're never going to have that shot again down the road.
I don't care how explosive your offense is.
Yeah.
I'll put money on that. Mike McDaniel will not be in another position in order to break that record. It will not happen. It will, unless you know, you go and play the Commanders again or some shit.
You know what? You know what? We'll see, man. I can't wait, man.
No, I'm kidding. It would have to be the Broncos. They're terrible.
No, I'd love it if I'd love it if he did it on Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Let's move on to the Bengals game here. Joe Burrow, the Bengals seem to have figured it out here, Winston, just like they did last year. They shut down Seattle twice to seal a 17-13 victory and improved to 500 here at 3-3. They intercepted Geno Smith twice, and it was at critical moments that they stopped him, and they stopped the Seahawks on fourth down from inside the Cincinnati 10 in the last 2 minutes and 8 seconds to preserve the victory. Each team only scored 3 points in the second half each. That's it. So this was very much a defensive battle back and forth. And these are two teams that both kind of want to be in a position to get into these playoffs in their respective conferences. At the end, the Bengals did just enough to get the victory. So Burrow didn't look 100% great in this game, but they gutted out the victory. What are your thoughts on both of these teams in the end?
I mean, it's the same thing that we've said about Joe. He's been playing injured. The injury seems to be getting better each game, but he's not quite there.
No, not 100%. Yeah.
But I also would say, if you remember, my only concern is how bad is his calf injury? If this is going to be something that lingers and really never heals, then the Bengals are in trouble.
Yeah.
But I didn't pull the parachute, the ripcord yet on them being, really in trouble, because the last year or two they have started slow, either 0-2 or something along those lines, and then ended up in the Super Bowl or ended up in the AFC Championship at the very least. They will be fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
we'll see. I mean, they scored touchdowns on their first 2 possessions, then punted 6 times for the rest of the time in the game, other than the field goal, of course, that they got. And Seattle only scored on its first drive. So you got to look at that as well, that the Cincinnati defense is starting to kind of come together as well, play a lot better, because the Seahawks have a good offensive team here in the end. And so I thought it was a good matchup of two teams that are about equal where they're at in terms of status and talent. Joe Burrow, obviously a little more talented than Geno Smith, but overall kind of comparable. And so getting the victory, I think the Bengals needed it more than the Seahawks did, but we'll see down the road how important this is for them overall for their record. Now let's move on to possible MVP of the NFL, Jared Goff here, leading the Lions to a victory over these Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield, 20-6. Goff threw 353 yards and 2 touchdowns here, which is pretty incredible. And the Lions are now 5-1, which is their fastest start since 2011, which is pretty incredible. And he threw touchdown passes, Goff did, to Amon-Ra St. Brown of 27 yards and to Jameson Williams of 45 yards. And Brown had 12 catches for 124 yards. Baker was 19 of 37 for 206 yards, the interception. And the Bucs were limited to only 46 yards on 16 attempts at rushing. So this is a pretty complete victory. Even if the score wasn't that high, it looked like the Lions were manhandling the Bucs throughout the entire game here, man. This is a team that is building in confidence every week. And I said this last week, that don't be surprised if it's Lions versus 49ers in the NFC Championship game. Do not be surprised by that. I would love.
You think the Lions are going to make it all the way to the NFC Championship?
I'll tell you right now, I think the Lions last year, if they had gotten in, they would have upset a couple of people and snuck into that NFC Championship game. I'll tell you this right now. I believe in Dan Campbell as a coach, and I believe in this team. And Goff, whatever he had to fix in Goff's brain, he's fixed it. Goff looks incredible. and everybody around it, running backs, receivers, both lines, and the safeties and the DBs, they're doing incredible work. So I'm a big fan of the Lions right now.
They are, but Rocha, when was the last time that the Lions made it to the playoffs?
I mean, when's the last?
You a question. I'm just asking you the question. When was the last time? Do you know
that they what
made it to the playoffs?
I think 2011 when they started 5-1. I don't remember.
2016.
2016. Okay.
And when was the last time they won a playoff game?
Oh, it's probably been a while. The 90s? Never. Have they ever won a playoff game?
It is. They have the longest drought in NFL history, active drought.
Yeah.
The 1991 season.
1991 is the last time they won a playoff game. Was it your Cowboys? Did they beat your Cowboys? No. Who was it they beat? It was the Rams. I think they might have beaten the Rams.
It might have been the Rams.
If I can dust off that memory from back. If I can dust that.
So, like, look, I will give you this. I think the Lions have fully locked up their division.
Yes.
So they will get some home games. I think that they are currently better. This is going to sound wild.
Yeah.
I think they are currently better than the Eagles.
That automatically puts them in the NFC.
I think no, not necessarily, because a lot of that ends up being matchups as well. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it just depends on who you get into the playoffs. So I think right now, if I was ranking NFC teams, if we go under the guys that Debo and Christian McCaffrey are both hurt, I will give you the Lions. I would go Lions, Niners, probably just because of how they lost, Cowboys, Eagles, but you could easily flip that very quickly.
I got Lions in my top 5.
Yeah, I have them. I would say if Christian McCaffrey and Debo out, I give them number 1 in the NFC for right now.
Right now,
but I think if you just look, if you were to look at it, I think when this is all said and done, I think that the Lions will end up in 4th place as far as we'll get the 4 seed, but they'll win their division. No, they'd be 3. They'd be 3 because the NFC South is not good. Like, Baker Mayfield's doing a good job, but I don't trust anybody from the NFC South right now. I just don't.
I think the Lions are going to go 16-1 or 15-2. That's my prediction right now.
Bro!
Yeah, I know. Now listen, this is based on their schedule, okay? Because next week they go to Baltimore. This is going to be I'm watching that fucking game. And I think this is going to be a real good test to see where the Lions are. All the hype, all the belief in them, 5-1, all of that. Dan Campbell, great coach. Kenny, God, you sound like Trump. Great coach. If they can handle business against the Ravens, the rest of the schedule is cake. Raiders, Chargers, Bears, Packers, Saints, Bears again, Broncos, Vikings twice, and then they're at Dallas, which they could totally get the victory. So this is an interesting situation where they could either lose to the Ravens or lose to Dallas and end up the season 15-2, or they could not lose at all the rest of the way and end the season at 16-1. It's a cake schedule. So that's what I'm basing it on. Plus the way they look like world beaters right now. And I like the way they're approaching things. And I think not getting in the playoffs last year is that extra little bit of motivation for them as they're playing games, because they missed out on by 1 game. So,
well, we will see, man. I just they look good and they're fun to root for.
They are fun to root for.
But there is. And Dan Campbell is building something very legit up there as far as like the attitude.
Yeah.
But there is a pedigree. There's a reason why when people still had whatever question marks for whatever reason they had about Purdy, there's a reason why the Niners have been like the runaway favorite out of the NFC this entire time. There's a reason why, even with the Eagles looking somewhat pedestrian, because we've seen it out of them already. I am always hesitant the first time someone shows up to the party to put faith in them. Yes, they had a decent season last year. And yes, they're rolling right now. Yeah. But like when people are like, remember, Jared Goff got the Rams to a Super Bowl. No. That Rams defense got them to a Super Bowl. Jared Goff played fine. But then when you actually needed him to do something, 3 points in the Super Bowl. So like, again, until I actually have some faith. So not only let's get to the playoffs. Oh shit, they won a playoff game. Oh shit, they won 2 playoff games. Yeah. I don't care. I don't. How many times the Cowboys gone 13-3, blew it in the very first playoff game? I don't care. No, 13-3 is 13-3. I don't care. No, that's still 3 losses on the year, and then you're just going to lose a playoff game. It's the same shit. I don't care. And if the Lions do it, good for them. And I'm actually, if the Cowboys aren't involved, I'd probably be rooting for them.
No, fair point.
To be honest with you,
I can see where you've got a little bit of a personal situation there. Okay.
You know what I mean? But like, I need to see them happen. I need to see it happen.
Okay. All right. Fair point. I just have a feeling about him because I love that we're getting all these young coaches, Winston, are in the NFL and exciting. You know, Mike McDaniel, Robert Saleh, Dan Campbell. There's a number of young coaches. And if Bieniemy ever, and I know he's in his 50s, but to me, he looks young. He still looks like he's in his 30s. He looks like he could still play, possibly. Yeah. If Bieniemy takes over from Ron Rivera next year, I think it's going to be a really exciting time in Washington.
I don't know why y'all didn't let him take over now. I mean,
bro, don't even with me. I agree.
Because the enemy should have had a number of different jobs by now.
I agree. I respect Ron Rivera as a Latino, and I'm happy he rode us through some really tough times with Snyder. But like Doc Rivers with the Clippers, it didn't amount to shit in the end. So get him out and get Bieniemy in there to coach that fucking team, for God's sake. So we'll see. All right. Well, let's move on to the rest here, since we're still in the second block here, or third block here. The Ravens defeated the Titans in London, jolly old England there, 24-16. The Bills defeated the Giants on Sunday Night Football, 14-9. I can't believe how much of a grind that game was, and almost lost if they had gotten that. Not gotten that DPI, escaped with the DPI. Jags defeated the Colts here 37-20 to continue their winning ways. They're 4-2 now. KC, the Chiefs, squeaked by the Broncos 19-8. That's embarrassing. The Broncos, the Dolphins put 70 on the Broncos. You could only put 19 with world beaters like Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes and Taylor Swift in the audience.
Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?
My Commanders defeated the Falcons here 24-16. That was a rough game, but we got the job done on defense. The Rams beat the Cardinals 26-9. The Raiders beat the hapless Patriots here 21-17. Bill Simmons pulled all his hair out over the weekend talking about Mac Jones. The Texans beat the Saints 20-13, and the Vikings outlasted the Bears here 19-13. So which of these games you want to talk about, Winston, or any of the stories out of these games you want to talk about? You want to look at that?
I need to look at the Bills Giants, but before we get there, I'm not going to let you do this. I can't believe I'm actually giving Sean any sort of traction here. 19, I cannot believe 19. I can't. Bro, I don't care. Did you actually pay attention?
I watched the game.
Look at the box score here. First of all, Russell Wilson has 95 yards. Yeah. 95. He has 95 yards, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. Shut up. Second of all, Denver scored in the 4th fucking quarter only. Yeah. You act like the Chiefs didn't have the game essentially on lock most of that game. I'm not going to let you do this. I'm not.
My point
I expect more out of the Chiefs. Let you, if you want to say that, I will give you that. But you essentially had a 3-touchdown game, and you locked out the Broncos until the 4th fucking quarter and left them to 1 touchdown. Yeah. I'm not gonna let you do this. That is blasphemy.
The Dolphins scored 70 points on these Broncos. These guys can't get above 20. Come on now.
Well, they don't have Tyreek Hill.
Not anymore. They don't. But they had Travis Kelce, 9 catches, 124 yards.
But that's the thing. The Cowboys put up like 50 something on the fucking Falcons that one time, right?
Yeah.
And then what did we ended up doing? We ended up losing like a big game like a week later. Same thing. No. Dolphins put up 70 fucking points on the Broncos, and they got mollywopped by the Bills. Putting up high scores doesn't mean shit unless you're doing it all the time. And your defense has to hold the fort. The truth is, Patrick Mahomes isn't the wizard that he used to be. He is still Gandalf. He just ain't Gandalf the White right now. He's kind of gone back to Gandalf the Gray a little bit. But Gandalf the Gray is still the most powerful fucking wizard in the land. Ain't it, like, you know what I'm saying? Like White just stepped it up a notch. You know what I'm saying?
Saruman was pretty powerful. But I hear what you're saying.
He was. He needed Gandalf the White to be able to beat Saruman. I'm telling you right now, there's a couple quarterbacks that I think if they were playing Patrick Mahomes, they actually would beat his ass right now. But if he got angry enough and he turned his ass back into Patrick Mahomes the White, All of a sudden, like, you know what he needs apparently? He needs his ignorant ass brother at games pissing him off, because then all of a sudden he throws for 500 yards and 20 touchdowns in a game. Like, I don't know how that's physically possible, but yet somehow he does it.
But look, this is a shaky 5-1 for these Chiefs. I mean, they barely beat the Vikings 27-20, who barely beat the Bears. They barely beat the Jets by 3 points. They did crush the Bears, the hapless Bears, fine. They only beat the Jags by 8, and they lost the Lions by 1. So they only beat the Broncos by 11.
Bro,
so to
Chiefs,
me, that's it. And it was
Jeremy,
like, oh, the defense.
Miller said it best.
It's the Broncos. They suck. Your defense is supposed to show up against a shitty team like the Broncos.
It's still a division team. And on top of that, look, I'm looking at what Jeremy Miller said, and this is the truth. The Chiefs are playing, that they're playing on autopilot. Kelsey has been in and out with random injuries. You've had the complete drama, and I'm starting to think now.
Kelsey had 124 yards.
He did. He still was playing on that bum ankle, and to pull that off is wild.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think now. I think Patrick Mahomes can't ball out unless there is drama, and I think since his brother is not coming around for a while because he's dealing with shit. His wife's starting to be quiet. I think this whole Taylor thing was just like Patrick needs the motivation of there is too much shit going on.
Yeah, I know Erin Andrews tried to take credit for introducing Travis Kelce to Taylor Swift because she loves to self-promote herself. I wonder if maybe it was Patrick Mahomes who did it the whole time. Because do you remember that? Did you ever watch the Larry Sanders Show? Did you ever watch okay, great show on HBO. Gary Shandling played talk show host Larry Sanders here. And in one of the storylines was genius. Their head writer was a better writer when he was depressed or when a girl had broken up with him. He wrote the best jokes. So in the storyline, he gets with Jareen Garofalo. She's his girlfriend. And his jokes are like, they're not biting. They're not satirical. They're just kind of happier kind of jokes, softer kind of jokes. So the guys convince her for the season to get with him, then break up with him, get with him, then break up with him. So I think she breaks up with him during sweeps so that he could write really great jokes during sweeps and then get back together with him after sweeps.
I mean, that's genius.
Genius. Okay. So if Mahomes is doing this, that is beyond Gandalf. That is Machiavellian. And I give him all the credit in the world to do that if he's doing that with the Taylor Swift situation. So, yeah.
But I'll say this: the Chiefs need a wake up call because they are playing on autopilot. Now, I am not.
It's a bad situation. Yeah,
but that's the thing though. One slap in the mouth, and the Chiefs, you wake up the giant that's just sitting there. You know what I'm saying? Because they understand it. They're gonna get their wins. They'll make the playoffs. That's weird. I need to give me 1 second.
Okay.
I need 1 second. I know it was mid thought. I'm realizing motherfuckers trying to text me in the middle of some shit. I'm like, if you don't shut the fuck up and leave me alone.
All right, let me take this then. I mean, you look at I don't think they've got the weapons to respond anymore. I mean, who is afraid of Pacheco or Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Sky Moore or Jerick McKinnon or the drop machine that is Kadarius Toney, who had -2 rushing yards and only 9 yards receiving. Mahomes is a great quarterback, no doubt. Obviously, you cannot doubt that. You cannot question that. He is an instant first ballot Hall of Famer, 100%. Transcendent player at the quarterback position. But this isn't a one-on-one. This isn't a one-on-one basketball game. It's a team situation. And I think the Chiefs have been getting away with some of these squeaky victories because Mahomes is such a good quarterback. And they haven't played that strong of an opposition.
And he hasn't played that. Like, I'll be honest with you. He has not played up to his level so far. The 5 interceptions are kind of out of character. Like he would have the 11-5 kind of ratio over it would be something similar to that.
Right.
By the time you got to the end of the season.
Yeah.
But like for him to essentially have a pick a game. And that's not necessarily what it is. There's been multiple games with multiple interceptions, but it just the problem is those interceptions look bad.
Yes,
it's not just like ooh, that was a tough one. Ooh, he really tried to thread the needle. It's like, what were you thinking? It didn't even look like a pass that could wizard its way in there.
Yeah, so. I mean, they've got the Chargers next week in Kansas City. That's going to be a fun game to watch, and we'll see how they respond. And then they have the Broncos, which will be another cakewalk game for them because it'll be in Kansas City. But then they've got the Dolphins coming into town and the Eagles coming into town. Then they go at the Raiders, at the Packers. Then they have the Bills coming into town. And then towards the tail end of the season, they have the Bengals coming into town. So all the big teams they've got to play, they're going to have the advantage of playing all the games in Kansas City. So to me, this is going to be real interesting to see how they do against the premier teams in the NFL, all things being equal, injuries equal, all the things like that, and see where they're at. Because if they lose every single one of those games, then I don't want to hear about the Chiefs being some kind of scary team to play in the playoffs anymore. And this feels like Golden State when they were having their shitty run for a couple of years. Steph could still do it, but not 100% the way that he could in the past. And of course, they did bounce back and win a championship again a couple of years ago. So I'm just saying, I don't have a lot of faith in Kansas City right now overall as a team.
I'm really curious.
Yeah.
I actually think the Chiefs are going to lose this game to the Chargers.
That's a very strong possibility.
And I'll tell you why. It's not because the Chargers are a better team, not even remotely close. I think after losing this game the way they just did, and once again, Staley's job is I think when the season is over, Staley is for sure getting fired.
Totally.
But I think unless there is a massive turnaround throughout the rest of the season, if he doesn't want to get fired after weeks, 7 coming up?
Yeah.
I feel like he has to make a statement. And I think this is one that saves your job. And at least for the time being. And so I have a feeling the Chargers are going to come in with that fucking fire. They're going to be mad. They're going to be trying to hang on. And I genuinely think that the Chargers might squeak out this division win against the Chiefs this coming week. Yeah,
I mean, look, I think the Chiefs last year were a way better team than they are this year. And you look at the situation, people are correcting me in the chat. I apologize. They play the Dolphins in Germany. So that's going to be an interesting game. Big, strong fan base for the Dolphins in Germany. I know that much. They love the light blue color. So we will see how that plays out in Germany between the both of them. And I'll be curious to how that plays out. So, all right, let's hit some of these Streamlabs and then we'll take a quick break and then we'll finish off the show. Jorge Iniestra says, took my sis to her first game last night. She's a Dallas fan. I'm a Pats fan. Seemed like more Dallas fans last night, but energy was there all around. Dallas Stars showed up when it mattered. You just want your favorite team to get the most points at the end for sure. And certainly Dallas looked like they were making CeeDee Lamb a focus of the offensive game plan throughout that game against the Chargers. Thank you. Help me win my fantasy. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm just glad I got your text and I was like, bitch, I'm over here stressed out. I ain't got time to read your goddamn text message. But because I know we're running out of time, let's talk real quick about this Giants, this last play.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, we were meant to let me bring that up here real quick. Thanks for reminding me, Winston. I apologize. Let's take a look at this play here. This is the offensive or the defensive pass interference that was not called,
which is wild.
So he's holding his arm.
You are holding his arm. You're not going for the ball.
No, you're not going for the ball.
None of that. You are just pulling his arm down. Before that, and you didn't even get the whole beginning part. He's yanking on his jersey and
there it is,
pulling his jersey back, and then you go and you grab his arm. Bro,
it seems
there is so much. You're not looking at the ball. None of that. There is so much wrong with that, especially when you consider. And I feel this is what really happened with the ref.
Yeah.
You just called defensive PI on the last play.
Yes.
And this is a no-timed final play.
Yep.
Because they just did that to end regulation. The ref probably felt kind of weird, being like, well, it's the same penalty instead of actually doing his job. And that you are grabbing all sorts of things. That is absolutely absurd. That is Saints Rams level of PI, bro. That was really bad.
All right. Counterpoint.
Oh no.
And this is
is
where, look at this.
All right, come on.
Walker is 10 feet tall, for God's sakes, and he did have his hand on the ball. So I think the ref felt it didn't affect him being able to possibly catch the ball.
Oh, I see.
Because he was going up with one hand already. His intention was to catch it with one hand. So having the other arm hold him, it didn't impede his movement.
Okay,
it might have impeded the other hand coming around to secure the ball.
Got it. So what you're saying is you hate tall people. They should all be killed. That's what you're saying. That all tall people should be erased. from
yes,
football.
I'm tired of them
They're
dunking at everybody.
No more dunking. No more all that. Hey, because you're tall, the rules don't apply to you.
How's the weather up there?
You don't get protections.
No,
the way that these short motherfuckers do.
Exactly.
You just have whatever happen to you. That's okay. Cool. Good to know. That's great. That's totally great.
Of course, by the letter of the law, it is PI. But a lot. I found the.
Isn't that enough? Wait
Yeah,
a minute.
Like,
by the letter of the law, and that's not enough for you.
I know the ref was watching it the whole time. Like he's literally standing, and he wasn't even on the opposite side. Like he was literally on the whole side.
Thing. He's just. I don't see anything wrong here.
He goes, I gotta get fun. I miss my wife. I'm going home, man. But
I think he literally looked like Rocha. He looked like, man, if I call this PI again, he's just gonna PI every play, isn't he? Fuck it, no good.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be here anymore.
Buffalo's a tough town. I gotta get out of here. But the other part of this, I think, too, is that the people were talking about this afterwards. I thought it was really smart. Is that this is a bit of a loophole? If this is a final play, an untimed play, as you said, because it's final play, literally the final play of the game. You can just keep doing a defensive PI the whole time until the refs get tired of throwing the flag, and it gets questionable enough where it was okay for him not to throw the flag. I don't think that was the situation there because it was pretty obvious, grabbing the jersey, then grabbing the arm. So you should have called it. But they were probably going to do this into infinity until the refs didn't throw the flag or the Giants receiver caught the ball.
I even thought to myself, I was sitting here like,
yeah,
I don't even like the Giants.
Yeah,
I don't need anybody in my division doing well, but like I like Tyrod Taylor. What a story about him for the team that
a lot of people saying he should
and they didn't give him the love that he deserves, and he's out here doing better than Daniel fucking Jones.
Just don't stab him with a needle. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, right? And like the story behind all of that, on top of the fact in Buffalo, on top of the fact that honestly, Buffalo needs to wake up.
No, agree.
Josh, 169.
They're shaky too. Yes.
Bro, they need to wake the fuck up.
100% agree with you. 100% agree. I'm Bills Mafia, but you know me. I tell my truth. And you're absolutely, the Bills are a shaky 4-2, as much as the Chiefs are a shaky 5-1, in my opinion. And I agree. I mean, like the fact that the Giants had a shot with their backup quarterback to beat you at your home in Orchard Park tells me that like you weren't ready for this game. And you weren't dialed into this situation. And don't give me that Tyrod Taylor is a new quarterback. Tyrod Taylor, there's plenty of footage on Tyrod Taylor, who has played on a number of teams in the NFL. So this was a surprisingly tight game. I thought this was going to be 35-10. And the fact that it was 14-9 is super shocking. Right after their loss to the Jaguars last week in London, it's kind of shocking to see them play this ineffectively against a lower level team like the Giants at this point. So we shall see what happens with them. Because, I mean, that Dolphins victory sure looks like way back in the rearview mirror, even though that was 2 weeks ago, because of the loss to the Jaguars and because of how they struggled and almost lost to the Giants, So, all right, let's see. We got another one in here. Oh, so actually, you know what? Let's take a quick break, and then we'll jump into more right after this, and we'll get on out of here. All right, Winston, let's rip through these Streamlabs. Jorge and he asked us, he just said that. I am Two Fly Cam says, hello there. Rough week from the Seahawks, but our defense was great. Gino really needs to learn to get the ball out when he feels that pressure, for God's sakes. I would still take Gino over Dak any day. Also, these Lions are dangerous and super fun to watch. Ooh.
No, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't take Dak over Geno Smith.
But give me a Pete Carroll instead of a Mike McCarthy, and I think all of a sudden Dak is playing completely. Well, it depends. If he starts babying him the way he babied Russell Wilson, then maybe not.
Yeah. I like I would never take Dak. I mean, I would never take Geno over Dak. And the thing you're talking about with Geno is the reason why he has never been a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL, because he holds on to the ball and has done so for years. When he has started games in the NFL, he's getting the opportunity to do so. And he threw 2 terrible interceptions. So to me, Geno is a limited quarterback and is always going to be a limited quarterback. The Seahawks at best will get a wild card, if they even get that. And they'll be out in the first week of the playoffs. So I just don't have a lot of faith in the Seahawks and Geno Smith overall. Dak is a much more gifted quarterback. He's just in a bad situation with a shit coach. Honestly, that's my opinion. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Fred Tastic says, hi, guys. Happy my Cowboys won, but I still see problems on their horizon that a bye week will not fix. That doesn't mean the end of the world, though. Just the same old, but my Texas Rangers are for real. Well, let's use that as a leaping frog, a leaping point here, Winston. The Texas Rangers 2-0 up on the Houston Astros. Beat them in Houston, bro. In Houston.
It's not just that. Did you watch any of this game?
I watched both of the games, and I've become a huge Texas Rangers fan, not just for you, but also because I want them to kick the shit out of the Astros, who always beat the Yankees lately.
Well, it's not just that. They're also cheaters that never actually got 100%. Punished for cheating.
Yep.
And didn't even really have to admit it. Fuck that shit. I want the Astros to never have anything nice happen to them ever again. Until everyone involved in that organization is gone.
Yeah.
Owner, players, managers, the
and
fucking,
Brad Gilmore.
The fucking crackerjack motherfucker. Until everybody involved in that fucking cheating ass team is gone.
Yeah.
I don't want anything good to happen to them ever again.
Do you hear us, Brad Gilmore? Do you hear us? No good thing should happen to the Houston Astros.
Every single person that was involved in that organization that doesn't have the balls to actually admit that they were fucking dirty cheaters and don't deserve their win.
Yeah.
They deserve nothing but horrible things to happen to them in the game of baseball. I'm not going to put any ill will on people that I hope you fall off a cliff. I'm just saying that, like, I hope your team has plenty of innings where the bases are loaded and you get stopped.
Yes.
That was that I was sitting here like, fuck, they're about to tie this bitch up. And then my pitcher says, bitch. Ha! And I was like, oh, the face on those, because they were losing their mind. They're like, bases loaded.
Yeah.
And a two base coming up. Let's go. And then they lost all those potential runs. I was like, that's how you fucking play fucking baseball, baby. That was beautiful. I would rather not be in that position, but there's nothing that crushes someone's soul than having bases loaded and you can't convert a single run out of it.
The Rangers have played so smart. I watched the first game, watched half of the second game as I was watching, because YouTube TV has this great thing now, multi-view. So I was able to watch the Cowboys Chargers game and the playoff game, which was great. But yeah, seeing the way they jumped on everything, it was fantastic. They understand. We got to get up on these Astros right off the bat. We got to focus on getting up on them early and slowly crush their spirit, because they are a fighting team. And sure enough, they've done that. Don't be surprised if they sweep out the Stros too. We're going to Texas. It's very possible they sweep out the Stros, and that's that. And I knew they were going to beat Baltimore. I didn't think they were going to necessarily win in the first round, but once they got to Baltimore, I knew that team was a shaky 100-win team, and sure enough, they wiped them out. The Houston Astros could be here. As I said, I want Phillies versus Rangers, Texas. That's going to be an awesome World Series. Two strong teams who had to grind it out and fight to get in, and then now getting to the World Series, it would be a knockdown, drag-out World Series. 7 games. Yeah.
I'm trying to exercise some demons.
Yeah.
To go back to the World Series, to essentially get swept. We'll call it a gentleman's sweep, that first World Series.
Yeah.
Which was just embarrassing. Right. And then the second one, you are 1 out away.
I know.
In game 6 to end this. And it all falls apart, which is why, honestly, then being in that situation of bases loaded, no outs.
Yeah.
2 strikeouts and then a quick chip to third to get that out, like that. Oh, I'm like, if we're doing that, if we found ourselves on another 1 out to win the World Series position, I believe we can pull it off because we're making smart plays and we have the grit,
Yeah. I think Washington took you guys as far as he could take you, but I think Boshi has been incredible coming in last year into this year and turning this team into a team that understands how to play winning baseball. And of course he did that with the Giants when they won World Series. So it makes sense that he would do that here. So I'm a big fan of what's happening. And Boshi is one of the best guys in Major League Baseball. So I'm cheering for the Rangers even more so for that reason as well. All right, let's hit some college football real quick. Not sure if you saw this. We talked about it already. Winston, Washington beat Oregon here in a hell of a game, 36-33. Notre Dame then got crushed by USC. Those are 2 kind of premier games of the weekend, 48-20. I don't know if you saw either of these games, but your thoughts overall here about these games? And what
I
happened?
did not see
Okay.
either of these games,
Okay.
mainly because got a little bit of bad news Friday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I got a little fucked up Friday night.
Oof.
So then I spent all of Saturday being like, someone come and put me out of which is wild. How am I going to be put me out of my misery all of Saturday? I went to a concert. That was fine. Then get a flu shot and a COVID shot on Sunday and put me out of my misery on Monday. Like, I better go out and, I don't know, baby, you want to go find a third? I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do tonight.
Whoa.
It's going to fuck me up for Wednesday. But no, I didn't see it, but I did hear enough about it to know that, like, that Oregon-Washington game apparently was the type of stuff that, like, people watch on replay.
Yeah,
it's like that good. That's absolutely crazy. Let alone a man, Michael Penis Jr. Like, he's just out
Phoenix.
here.
Phoenix.
Oh, excuse me. I forgot. It's French.
Peni. Yeah. So
Michael
Junior. Oh shit! Is it Daddy Peni? Yeah. I mean, both of these games were fun to watch on Saturday. It's fun. It's great right now because this is the time to watch college football. There's a lot of great games going on. I literally was in my recliner from the morning till like 8 o'clock at night. And of course, occasionally hanging out with the Lady Outlaws as the day went on. And it's fun to watch this. And these are the players we're going to watch at some point in the NFL. So that's another reason why I enjoy watching college football. And this Washington-Oregon game is one of those rarities where it gets so hyped up that you're like, man, I can't wait to see this. These two junkyard dogs going at it. Yeah. And it actually becomes a junkyard dog fight where it's so close. It was just a missed field goal at the end by the kicker for Oregon that ended up costing them the game, and that's the end. And Washington played a hell of a game. And the swings were fantastic. They were in Washington, which is difficult to play. So Oregon deserves all kinds of credit to walk in there and give Washington everything they could handle. But they had to take the loss. They only dropped to 9th, so they may still sneak into the college football playoff. But that being said, I just thought this was great. And the USC game is real interesting because this kind of exposed Caleb Williams a little bit. But Notre Dame needed this, and their young black coach needed this victory over a ranked team like this in this manner because of the shock loss to Louisville and the tough loss to Ohio State. So we will see how he reacts here, how the team reacts. And I'm just throwing it out there that if things fall a certain way, don't be surprised if Notre Dame sneaks back in to the college football playoff, even with 2 losses. Don't be surprised they could find their way back in there for sure.
I just can't believe that Penn State won 63-0. I know Massachusetts not good, apparently. Penn State is 6th ranked, but 63-0. God damn. That's the only time. I still think if you don't want me to do touchdown dances on you, stop me. But that's what I'm like. There's like some 17-year-olds on that team just like bawling their eyes. I'm just like, oh my God. That's too. Why did I come to this cold ass fucking university in the first place?
Stop scoring. We give up.
Bro, everybody's girlfriends or boyfriends on the Massachusetts team went and found somebody on Penn State to go home with that night. It's so bad. Oh, Lord.
Yeah. And this weekend's going to be fun. Penn State versus Ohio State. They're both ranked in the top 10. That's going to be, and both undefeated. That's going to be an awesome game. Tennessee and Bama after that at 12:30. And then to wrap up the night, my Seminoles take on Duke, or you can watch Utah take on USC. So there's some good games all Saturday as well. So it's going to be fun. All right, one last thing. WNBA finals tomorrow night, game 4 here. The New York Liberty were able to bounce back and get a victory against these Las Vegas Aces in New York. Do you think the Aces finish it out tomorrow night, or do you think we're going to a game 5 here in Las Vegas?
Bro, I think that the Aces are about to do what hasn't been done since Lisa Leslie was on the team. I think they're about to go back to back, man. I think that the Liberty are very, very good. I'm not going to take anything away from the Liberty. There's a reason they're in the finals here. Yeah. But the Aces are just doing shit that don't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm glad the Liberty got at least one on them. Yeah. But I think I think you're about to see, I guess it wouldn't be a gentleman's sweep, would it be a ladies sweep?
Possibly a ladies sweep, yeah.
Like, what would you call that? Because like I know it's just a turn of phrase. So, like, I obviously don't mean anything by it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like it's about to be a ladies sweep. I don't know. So
ladies sweep. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think it'll be
ladies sweep. Ladies sweep. Why'd you do that to the Sports Center song? What is wrong with you?
I got a feeling the Aces take this out. I think the Liberty got that one victory, and now the Aces like, okay, you got your one. We're going to come back even harder. I don't think Kelsey Plum's going to let them get out of New York without the victory. Plus, winning a championship in New York, even though you're not the New York team, I think there's a special magic in that, a special majesty in that. So I wouldn't be surprised. That being said, if it goes to Vegas, they're fucking toast.
Where do they play? Do they play in Madison, or do they play Madison Square Garden?
I thought they played in Madison Square Garden. I thought for sure they played in Madison Square Garden.
They're playing in Barclay.
Oh, Barclay. Oh,
they're
in Brooklyn. All right,
in Brooklyn.
Still New York.
It's still New York. It's still New York. I'm just curious. Like, I mean, obviously Madison Square Garden just being the premier, like, even though there are much nicer arenas at this point, just because Madison Square has been around forever. There is something specific about Madison Square Garden that if you do that there, man, woof. But that's cool. A Barclay would be dope.
Yeah, we'll see.
There you go. A gentle lady sweep.
A gentle lady. I call on the sweep from the gentle lady. 5 minutes. All right, well, there you go. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, y'all. It was a fun show. Can't believe we've been going for an hour and 45 minutes, but the time flies by talking sports with you, Winston, and, of course, talking sports with our great fans and all the ball busting we do here with each other and with our fans as well. So thank you all for joining us. Thanks for the Streamlabs. We appreciate it badly, your support for the show. Please keep sending them in for next week and every week we do the show. It means so much to us. Winston, another great one, man. Where can they find you? Anything going on, brother?
You can find me at the Swaggy Blurred. I do apologize. I'm behind. I didn't do a SVU last week, and I now need to do one for last week and this week. I will do them both. Just, dealing with some stuff. I'm very happy to announce for those that were following last year that my aunt, who was fighting pancreatic cancer, had I think it was like a 20% chance at best, is officially cancer free. They're doing a they're doing a little bit more preventative chemo care on her, but that we were celebrating her this past weekend, which was lovely. But that's where I was between dealing with some bad news, not my story to tell, and then celebrating my aunt. I just really have not been on top of my content as I normally am, so be sure to look out for that this week. You're getting 2 from me. And then go and watch Capes and Cows on Christian Harloff's channel on Fridays. We drop those, and that's pretty much all that I got going on at the moment. Come back here next Tuesday.
Bang. All right. Awesome stuff. Thanks, guys. For me, it's at the Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, the Outlaw Nation on Twitch, and my YouTube channel, youtube.com/John Rocha Says, where all my other film content lives. This is the sports channel. Subscribe here, hit the like button, hit the bell button, and also leave comments down below on your thoughts on everything. That we would appreciate it madly. Have a great rest of your week. Come back and join us next week. We'll be live, and we'll have more conversations about what's going on in Week 7 in the NFL. And until then, peace and have a good week. Take care.